Okay, welcome everyone. We are on Daf Mem Vav Amud Beis. We're going to start with the bottom of Daf Vav Amud Aleph. There's one line that leads in. Just a story, quick one, but a good one. Bezrat Hashem, we'll be doing the Daf Talmud and Vav Amud Beis. But let's first give a hopefully Bezrat Hashem inspiring story. Here's one from Rabbi Yoni Levine. Rabbi Yashiv, when he was younger, a little bit younger. How young? Maybe in his 60s. He 50s, 40s, whatever. He served on what's called the Bezdin Agadol. It was the rabbinate, the rabbinut, the highest court, like the highest level court. And it had some extremely prominent rabbanim. Rabbi Yashiv, Satzal, Rabbi Yosef, Satzal, Zolti was on it. Very, 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 very big Talmidei Chacham, world-class post-Gemara. Anyway, what is affiliated with the rabbinut? So some people in Rav Yashiv's neighborhood weren't happy with that. So they figured the best way to do so would be to accost him. So one day he's walking back, Rav Yashiv, that's all. Walking back, or two, I don't know which way, I think it was back, from his job at the Bezdin, and somebody throws 3 eggs at him. 3 eggs for Rav Yashiv. He's got a stain on him. Rav Yashiv is, big Talmud Chacham, that's an understatement of the century. Leads it off, Talmud Chacham doing walking around, stained clothing. So anyway, he starts to interact with this guy. So Rabbi Levine, who told the story, put a pause on the story and said, how would one react? The best case scenario, I think, would one react would be, smile and just, forgive the person, and I love him in Olvin, Shaman Chepasam and Moshivan. Don't react. That's the best thing. That's it. But you should take it one step further. The guy came over to him. He says, I want to give you a bracha. That's pretty good, right? Yeah, just right there. I'll give you a bracha. That'll be so busy with good things, you won't have time for this stuff. That's why. That's how Yasha handled the story. But there's an end to the story. It turns out this fellow, Zuzay, had free time. And the reason he had free time for many, many years, hadn't had any children. Obviously, if he had a house of little children, he would be hands full, and his wife would assure that he would not be throwing eggs or have any money for eggs. But the next year, he had triplets. So take Rabbi Yashiv's bracha very seriously. Anyone who's been put down seriously, it's really Rabbi Yashiv, and 3 eggs, 3 kids. So what would happen if he threw a dozen? I don't know, but he threw 3 and he had 3 kids. Anyway, story is, you can learn not only to be mevateret, but also to give a bracha. He spoke about when you have to stand up for yourself, but Rabbi Yashiv stood up for himself in a very interesting way, in the most positive way imaginable. Okay, so we are on Daf Vav Amud Beis, the starting the beginning of Vav Amud Aleph. We're going to discuss the case today of somebody somebody who goes into somebody's property, takes something, and there's a claim. One person claims it was stolen. The owner claims you just borrowed it. I'm sorry, I didn't say that right. That's what they don't claim. One person claims he bought it. Another person claims that he just lent it to you. It's not yours. And that will take up a good part. And then we're going to discuss some other cases in the Mishnah. Nechbal, when he says you injured me, or a person who's suspected to not give an oath, so that's what we're going to do today. So just briefly, yesterday, what we left off with before we move to the next piece, we talked about a mashkon. Somebody goes into somebody's property, takes the mashkon, the collateral without permission, and he takes it without permission, and he once he says, where you took it without permission, my security deposit. You took the mashkon. And he says, no, I didn't take it. And he says, you did take it. So in that whole discussion, right, we ask, what's exactly the case? If there are witnesses, we know there are witnesses that saw him go in. And the Gemara finished off and said, it must be that the witnesses actually saw him take it. Well, if the witnesses saw him take it, why is he swearing? Because the witnesses come to court and testify that he took it and he gets it back. Took it without permission. The answer he say is that he was hiding something under his garment, and we don't know what it is. Just briefly look at the last Tosfos because we didn't get a chance to do it. Bikiru Edim, the Miktsasam. It's recognized that there's something under there partially. They see something there. They partially recognize it. Hu Toen Shitmin Yoser and Masharo Edim. He's saying you took whatever it was. Let's say um, you took two garments, and they can only see picking out one garment or something like that. So the Edom have testimony, but his testimony, his claim is beyond their testimony. In that case, he would require to swear. If the Edom said we saw him take two garments, no need to swear. Give back the two garments. The Edom saw one, and he's testifying. He says two, so that's where his shvur comes in. That's beyond the year. Okay, that's just Tosfos, not just that is Tosfos that I wanted to add. So we're on the bottom of Daf Mem Vav Amud Aleph before we move into the next. So the Gemara is going to say, okay, so Amar Rav Yehuda, Ra'u shehit min kelim tachos knafa. Adam saw that, Amar Rav Yehuda, Ra'u shehit min kelim tachos knafa. He sees that his friend has something under his garment. There's some kelim, some items. Now this is a new case here. It's similar to what we're discussing, but it does not involve a mashkal. No security deposit. Just he's walking out from somebody else's house. And the owner of the house sees him taking his stuff, or sees him with his stuff. So let's read it again. I'm Rabbi Huda. Rohu shehit min kelev tachas knafa v'yatza. Flip the page to Vav Ovid Beis. There we go. Balmer. He says, "Lakuchen heim biyadi." He says, the guy asked him, "Why are you holding? What are you doing with my stuff? Why do you take it?" And he says, "Lakuchen heim biyadi." That's not exactly the conversation. He says, "What's going on over here?" And he says, "Vamer lakuchen heim biyadi." He says, "I bought them. That's why I have them." And as Rashi says, first Rashi, "Bala bayis Omer ishaltim lo." I didn't sell it to him. He's borrowing it. We'll see that it's not a case where he claims he's stealing. The other guy says he's not. We'll see why that's not a legitimate claim. The claim is the owner says, the guy who took the stuff says, you sold it to me. I bought it. Now, and the owner, the previous owner, the true owner says, no, I lent it to you. And he's walking out of the house. Bear in mind, he sees him out of the house. Right? So let's say where he sees him, with something under his garment. He walks into the house, helps himself to a towel, and puts it under his jacket and walks out. So the owner stops him and says, "What are you doing with my towel?" Now, I know that's the exact conversation. What are you doing with my towel? Because he claims he's borrowing it. He knows what he's doing with his towel. He's borrowing. Maybe he asks, "What are you doing?" And then he says, I bought this from you." And he says, "No, I lent it to you." Eno Neman. The guy is not believed to say that he actually bought it. We only assume like the owner claims, that he's borrowing it and he has to give it back. That's the claim. Now we're going to qualify this about 5 times. When's the case, when it's not the case. The lo omran ela bala bayis she'eno asay limkor kelav. Well, that's true that he has to give it back, and we don't believe the guy who's holding on to it that he actually bought it. With regard to a bala bayis, homeowner, whatever you want to call him, who doesn't regularly sell his items, but somebody who is usual, who does sell his items, the stuff, Neman, then he is believed to say, "I bought it from you, and that's why I'm holding on to it." Okay? So one exception to the rule. If he says, if it's the type of owner who would sell things that in his house like this, then he would be believed. The guy who's holding it would be believed to say that's why he has it. I'm sorry? Aval bias. Lo amron ela bal bias eno asay limkor kelav. Only in the case when a bal bias is not used to selling his items, then we don't believe the guy holding on to it. It's a lot of double negatives. Yeah, there's a lot of double negatives here. Yeah. Aval bal bias also limkor kelav. If he does sell it, then neman, then the person holding on to let's call it a towel, then it's believed. That's one qualification. Second qualification, Misha'ain asoy limkor as kelev nami. And even if he doesn't usually sell his items, we only say that elav dvarim she'ain darkan lahatmin, by things that people don't normally hide. As Rashi says, things that are like people don't walk around publicly in the shuk with. Um, right. So yeah. So yeah. Right. So then it makes sense, right? Aval dvarim shedarkim lahat, something that people do hide under their garment. Someone's whatever, he's got some medication or something, he doesn't want people to see, something of that nature. He just I don't know, he's walking, he bought his daughter, he wanted to, I don't know, whatever, a purple umbrella or pink umbrella, he's a little embarrassed because of his coat. He has a good excuse. It's normal to hide them, and we see him hiding it. He says, I I borrowed it, and he says, I bought it, and we do believe it. That's another reason why we believe him. And he's holding on to it. So there is some the possession is the
Shlomo,
yes.
how are we talking about somebody who's gone into somebody's house with the householder's permission or without the householder's permission?
It doesn't seem to say that in Rashi that he has permission. Um, doesn't seem to say he has permission. Um, no, it's not clear. Seems like he didn't have permission. But we don't know if he has permission. The confrontation takes place outside. So um, the claim between the two, the distinction between the two, one guy says, I bought it. Another guy says, no, you borrowed it. So presumably, let me maybe backtrack. I'm getting confused, and so are you and everyone. But the previous case where the case guy goes into the house and takes that permission. Here, the claim is I bought it, and the other claim is no, I let you borrow. I lent it to you. So presumably, in that case, he was doing this transaction with permission. Went into the house to get it, or to the outside, whatever. The confrontation takes place later when he's hiding this item under his house, under
That's right.
his uh, it says ro shehit min keli tachas kanafa yotza, and he goes out, and he goes out of the house. So it's not clear. It seems like was in the house and then he went out of the house. Now the point is that the disagreement between the two is one says I bought it, and the other says I lent it to you, and whether he's believed or not. So if normally he would not be believed, but if morning. If he normally does sell things from his house, then he would be believed. Or if he's hiding it in something that people normally hide, then it would be believed because it's his claim against other guys. How you doing? Oh, thank you very much. Take your time. We're good. Oh, no problem. Yeah. So I confused everyone with my change in schedule. It's my fault. I'm the culprit. Uh, right. Okay, so we're gonna have another third qualification. Um, so let's move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, sorry. No, I'm in them. Oh, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down.
Okay.
My birth. Okay. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down. 6 lines down. Second to last word. Misha'ain darkon. Misha'ain darkon lahatmin. Nami lo amran. We say if it's something that people don't normally hide under their garment, we still would believe him. We see wouldn't believe Ella inish the lotznia. It's only in the case that we don't believe him. A lot of double negatives here. Inish the lotznia. Someone who's not sort of humble, meek, shy, embarrassed. Aval inish the tznia. Someone who's more humble, embarrassed kind of person. Hainu orche. That's his normal way. He doesn't just put things under his garment. Doesn't want. What are you holding? What do you do today? Where'd you go? He doesn't like. I give him my privacy, you know. Uh, yeah. So that's another qualification. So again, we have the two people who's holding onto the garment. So if it's just Stam, it's a lot of questions you can ask about this. But if he's holding on to it, another qualification. He's a person that normally hides things under his garment. He's more of a shy, embarrassed kind of person. Then we do believe him. And if it's something, even if he's not, if it's something that people normally hide under their garment, then we do believe him. And if it's something that normally the homeowner would sell, we do believe him that was sold. Another qualification. This one says it's a borrowed item, and this one says it's a purchased item. Then we believe, just without all the other qualifications. Just one says it's borrowed, one says it's sold. We believe it. If the homeowner says it's stolen, lav kol kamine lachsuke inish beganve lo machsekina. To that extent, we don't believe him to say that it was stolen. And you actually stolen. That extent of a claim, we don't give him. Just thank you very much, Mr. Appreciate that thing we don't believe him. So we said another qualification that it has to be. One qualification is it has to be for the homeowner to say I was borrowed. The homeowner to believe the homeowner, not the guy who's holding on to it. Again, possession is something that we take seriously. 9/10 the law. So it has to be that he's not making a claim of thief. That's two. We don't take that. We'll see Rashi. Well, let's look at the Rashi. Why is that not? What's the case? Why can't somebody lo oman ba'adam beinani de'eno neman elam zeh amar lechukim v'zeh amar shulan aval nomer lo ganafta osam lav kol kamine. We wouldn't just say that. It has to be a very particular circumstance. It has to be, again, so far. So what do we have so far? We have that in order for the guy possessing it has a strong case normally because he's possessing. When do we not believe him? Under very particular circumstances. It has to be that the homeowner doesn't normally sell the stuff. The guy, it's not something you normally hide. And even if it is something you normally hide, then it can't be a very humble, modest, private person. And he can't claim it's stolen because we don't believe it's stolen against not because the other guy is a regular Elam Benoni, he doesn't steal things. So we don't believe him to say that, as Rashi said, that he stole. If it's a known crook, or a person who's chashud, as he said, and he says it's stolen, that implies maybe we wouldn't believe him. Quite gosh. A lot of qualifications so far. One more at least. One more qualification. We only say by things that would normally be lent out or rented. So many things that are not normally rented or borrowed or lent. Neman. Then he would be. He's claiming it's not, I didn't sell it, I lent it to you. We only believe him when it's something that people normally lend or borrow. People don't normally lend out their, I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lines down. I'm sorry, Mem Vavam Beis. It's 13 lines down. See? A lot of qualifications.
Renting out.
Yeah.
In English, you rent property, hiring potential. That's English.
That's in British English. Hiring, yeah. You hire someone.
Chattels, movable things are hired.
Yes.
Property
is rented.
Rented.
Oh, okay.
But, the Hebrew, the haskir, usually rental, isn't it?
Yes.
But they've translated it
as rental.
As a rental.
Yeah, but the forgery of American English that I speak is we use the word rent for items too. You can more people don't rent small items today, but if you'd rent like I don't know, you were to rent a computer, right? Right.
Like a saw,
Right.
drill.
Right.
Yeah.
You rent those things.
These things are higher
Higher, right. So in English, in American English, you would say rent. I think that's where they should come up with a proper English.
It's in all languages.
Right.
Some languages are more rich in certain expressions than others. There are cases where Hebrew lacks the words, and you've got a big choice in English or French.
Right.
And vice versa.
Right.
That words, in English and Hebrew, you've got
Right. Right.
free choice. So
Right.
sometimes it gets difficult in translation. Because you have to, when you translate the word,
Right.
and then it has a cadence, utensil.
Yeah. That's kind of vague.
Fast, greater
Right.
expression.
Right. I once heard someone told me that once the Yiddish is the language or dialect, it's the dialect, it has the most words for emotional expression. I know my Yiddish is not very, very weak. There's a lot of words for emotional expression, a lot.
German has more words.
Yeah, okay.
French has more words with love,
Okay.
emotions.
Okay.
And Hebrew, I think there's more expression, concepts, minds, expressions, thoughts.
Uh-huh. Right.
Right. It's but when you see that, then you know the culture attached to that language.
Interesting.
People speak that language, what are they most concerned with?
Right. You know what they're thinking about. Yeah. There must be an expression about that. The lava daite, kena daite, mandavramya manafshe, iza daite. It's the verse, It's kol milsa the low ramya ale anish lava daite. Kol milsa the ramya ale. So it's on your mind. Okay, so let's. So we said that that's one of the last of the qualification is something that you don't normally lend out. If you do, it has to be something you normally rent or lend out, rent or lend or hire, yes maybe, out. You then the balabais is believed. So the shalach Rav Huna bar Avin, he sent a shaila, dvarim shasuin lahashil haskir, v'amr l'chuchen biyadi eno neman. He says something that so if it's something that is normally lent or rented or hired, and the guy is holding on and says, "No, I bought it," so he's not believed. It has to be something that is normally rented or hired for not for the balabais to believe, and for the person holding it to not be believed. Kihad the Rava apik zuga the sarbala. It's the case with Rava halakha ma'isa that Rava took away the scissors. It was like scissors to cut cloth. The Safra da Agadata in books, Sasfarim of Agadata, Miyasmi. He took it away from Yisomin. Bidvar Masum Hashil Haski. These are things, this type of scissors that are used for cutting cloth, and this Sfarim of Agadata are normally things that are lent out, lent or rented or hired. And because they are, that's why he took them away from the Yisomim. Yisomim are claiming, the other guy claiming, I lent them to you, and they're claiming, no, I guess their father. That's what he said. Right. And there's a claim, there is a claim that they could say that it was bought. And we would claim for them normally, for the Yisomim, on behalf of the Yisomim. But we don't make that claim because it's not going to work. We could make the claim, it's not going to be a legitimate claim. The owner is claiming it was lent or rented or hired, and potentially the Yisomim could claim it was sold. Or it was sold, rather. We could make that claim for the Yisomim. We don't make that claim for the Yisomim, and therefore, because we don't believe it, the guy he's saying now it was lent or rented, and these are things that are normally hired or rented or lent. Therefore, the person, the balabais, is believed against the Yisomim. So that's why Rava gave it back to the owner, because we don't believe a potential claim that it was bought. And again, the point is, when it only believed the balabais if it's something that's normally rented or lent or hired.
This is the case where you haven't got proof what actually happened.
Correct.
But you can find what is the norm of human society.
Correct.
And then the diamond you just, you actually summons it or what have you, and you force you to give it.
Right.
From A to B.
Yeah, if you think about what the difference between the two claims is not so far. He's claiming it's mine, I give it back right now. He's saying I'm borrowing it, I'm going to give it back to you in 2 weeks. If the place would be different, that's much different than the place he says it's mine and he says, no, it isn't. here we know everyone's admitting that possession belongs to the Baal Bayis, just when it gets back, really. Yeah, because possession is really very strong. We're not, that's, if it would be disputed fully, it'd be different. Okay. Amar Rava. So now, by the 2 dots, the 1 dot. No, you may not have a dot. So it's about halfway down. The last word in the line is Rava. 2 words in. 2 words from the end. Amar Rava. And as Rashi says, it's further down than you suspect, as Rashi. Well, Rashi says that it's going back on the case of the Mishnah. And did I jump? I did not jump. The part here was no. So where is Amarava? To be here somewhere. Okay, where is Amarava in the Rashi? Okay, I'm not seeing it right now. That's where my problem is. Hopefully I'll find it. Oh, here it is. Afilo Shomer Nishba. I'm reading the wrong words. Okay, Amar. Let's read it inside, and then we'll jump to Rashi. Amar Rava. Afilu Shomer Nishba. Even the Shomer Nishba. Rashi says Amas Nisan Koi. This is going back on the Mishnah, not the case. This is not what we're talking about. What the guy says, I borrowed it, and one guy says, no, I bought it from you. Going back in the Mishnah's case, was a mashkon. The guy lent, Reuven lent Shimon money, and Shimon is not paying up. So Reuven goes into the house. Adam sees him, and he goes and takes out his mashkon, takes a security deposit back, takes a security deposit. This is the case that's going on. That case in the Mishnah. In the case in the Mishnah is the guy says, I says, I went into your house, but I didn't take anything from mashkon. And the guy says, nice, you did. So he swears and he takes the item back. What happens if he's not the one who sees them go in? He's the one not making the claim. So Rashi says, so the mashkon, he saw 2 people go in his house to forcibly take a mashkon, a security deposit, shelo b'rishos, without his permission. Afilu shomer abayis neman the shava b'shalim mizeh. Even the watchman on the house has a right to make the claim. Hey, you went in and took something, and the guy says, no, you didn't. No, I didn't. That shomer, that watchman, can make the claim and make him and swear, and then get the item back for the homeowner. Let's read it inside. Amar Rava, afilu shomer nishba. Even the watchman could swear that he saw the guy and then take the mashkon, and then get the item back. Afilu ishto shomer. Even the wife of the watchman was there. Nishbais. She could swear. Boy Rava. Boy Rav Papa. I skipped one thing I want to do. We'll go back to it in a second. Boy Rav Papa. I skipped 2 things. Okay. No, one thing. Boy Rav Papa. Schiro or Lakito. Someone who is a hired worker in the house who sees him. Olakito, or like someone who's a hired harvester in its garden, in this field, who sees the guy go in and take and come out with the collateral. Not the collateral, the mashkon, the collateral, yes. Could he make him swear that he saw him and collect for the Baal Bayis? My teku. We don't know for sure. So why is a distinction between that case? Another one, Rabbeinu Hananel on Gimel, about 15 lines, 15th the last narrow line. Afilu ishto shel shomer nishbas, kol shekein ishto shel nigzal. So certainly, certainly the wife of the homeowner could swear. The kaim malan shlucho shel adam kamoso. Just like the homeowner could say, "I saw you going to take my stuff," and he says he don't. He says he takes an oath that he saw him go in, and he collects. So even the person who's there in his stead, such as the shomer, the watchman, even the wife of the watchman is there. Certainly the man's wife, the owner's wife, can swear the kaim l'shluchocha kamoso. They're like him. They are in the place of the homeowner, the person who had stuff taken from him. Kilo him even as if they themselves or had stuff stolen from them. Aval schiro v'likito, but his hired workers, not the shomer. Shalo masar lahem shmiras beso alu b'teku. Their job is not watching the house like a wife or a watchman or even a watchman's wife. They're not in his stead to guard the house and then take claims against it. A worker just happens to be there. We don't necessarily know if he can make such a claim. So you stole it, and then being able to swear from there.
The owner's the owner. You've got a paid guard. That guard, the watchman, he's going to toe the line for his boss. The wife is going to support the husband.
Right.
Whereas your the worker in the field, you just hired, you saw what was going on, what was work, so I'm going in and out of the house.
Right.
So he's like your independent witness.
He's more of an independent witness. I hear that. I hear the Sarah the opposite way. Yeah, that's interesting. Sarah, why he'd be more believed in this case.
In the sense of tape.
Well, yeah.
Lots of these questions.
Yeah. The Shvi'ataris questions. It's not so clear. That's a good point. Yeah, it is. As long as the Gemara does these things, it throws out like a 3-line question. It's similar, and then take and then, or just a quick answer, and then you move on to something else. It doesn't give you time to process it. But yeah, because we're learning beyond, we'd have time to process. But, yeah. That's it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, shakol nivra.
Mere hired worker and what we consider victim of the theft, implies when the rabbi extended their enactment to allow anyone involved in the victim's household to take the oath. That's the comment. I said, well, why should we classify it as a witness?
Yeah.
We had 2 of these guys working.
Right.
If that's the situation, why should they not?
Right. Yeah.
Look at why.
Yeah.
Aren't suitable for being agent. But this is saying here that maybe
Right.
in this case, they are instead of the household.
Well, yeah. Remember, this is the case in the mission where there are 2 witnesses who saw him go in. They didn't see him. They saw him go in. They saw him come out with something under his garment. They didn't see the full amount. But to make that distinction, let's say it was 2 towels, and the witness only saw 1. Let's make him swear. Who could swear and get that 1 extra towel back? Who it has to be. Right. To clarify. Okay. So a quick thing. We talked about a guy going to a house and taking something, and the owner says it was you. I lent it to you, and he says you sold it to me. There's halachic shaila about borrowing someone something without permission, like a talis. Are you allowed to borrow a talis without permission? The Mechaber says, and the Ramah seems to say also, you can take someone's talis, and there's certain circumstances. You have to fold it the same way. It can't be regular. It has to be in a spot. But the Ramah says the same thing about tefillin. Others disagree. What about Svarim? So we're talking about Svarim here also. What about Svarim? So Svarim, it seems to be a problem that you may be teret. And Mishnah Berurah says you can't borrow someone's siddur without the permission. And when I was a kid, teenager, 14, 15, I was 16, I was working in a summer camp for kids with special needs. And just down the road was this affiliated camp, regular camp for kids. One of my brothers was working there. I was there and we wanted to daven mincha. So we went to daven mincha, and I didn't have a siddur. I walk over to a tefillin bag, pull out a siddur, and about to start davening. My friend turns to me and said, well, I'm going to daven too, but I'm not over on Gzela. So I smiled at him. I pointed the bag. I showed it had the same last name as me, as my brothers. He said, oh, they gave me a bracha. So what do you think? I'm going to go around and pull out someone's siddur? I probably should have told them before. I'm pulling out the siddur. But you're 15 years old. You do these kind of things. Anyway, so that's the... anyway.
The king's it's just an idea that the owner would be quite happy for the year to use it. And he said there's 2 opinions.
Nichale le'inish avid mitzvah b'moneh. Nicha inish avid mitzvah b'moneh. It's in Psachim. I forgot the exact. Yeah. Okay. Okay, let's go on. Now, we're going to talk about what kind of case we're referring to. So we're continuing about halfway down, a little bit more than halfway. The first word in the line is teku, a little hay there. Just jump the second word in. Amar le Rav Yemar le Ravashi. Rav Yemar says to Ravashi, Tanu bekasa de kaspa. Let's say the case is, what is he claiming? I use the example of towel, something under his garment. What is the case? What about Casa de Caspa? What happens if he he says that witnesses say he goes into the house. They don't see what he takes. We see something under his garment. We're not sure what it is. Partially sees it, partially doesn't see it. And he claims, you took X, Y, and Z. He says, no, I didn't. So to what extent do we believe him? Does he say, Casa de Caspa? He says, you took my golden goblet, my silver goblet, excuse me, my silver cup. Do we believe him? That's a pretty serious claim. We say, Chazina, the inish de amid, who? Oh, inish de memin be, who? Before I say it. So again, the witnesses who saw him take it, they see something under his garment. So it's not like he's making a random claim. The question is, what is he? Can he claim that kind of thing, which is pretty valuable? Chazina, we see inish de amitu. If he's a wealthy person and that's the type of things he has in his house, I guess would be likely to take that as collateral. O inish de meheminhu, the mafkid inish gabe, or he's a very trustworthy person, and people deposit those type of things by him. Then it's likely he has it. So then the homeowner, mishtabe v'shakel, he could swear and then take it back. Be low. If he's not a wealthy person, or not a person that people normally deposit such things by him, then he could not take such an oath, or we wouldn't let him take such an oath. Okay, good. Okay, so continuing. Nechbal ketzah. So now we're up to the next case. No, not right, correct. Right. Well, also to the extent that it'd be normal. Right. Right. I mean, it's trustworthy enough that people would lend him their silver goblet, give him anyone to hold on to their silver goblet, and wealthy enough that it would be normal to him to have a silver goblet, or whatever. It could be anything. Right.
Shlomo, if an item, a gold goblet was stolen,
Silver, actually, yeah.
Why does he have to swear to collect it? Collect it from who? It's stolen.
No, well, the case is like this. Ruvain lends Shimon money. And Shimon is not paying back. Shimon gets upset and oversteps his boundaries, his limitations, whatever you want to say. And instead of going to Beis Din to go help him get a collateral, he walks into the guy's house saying he's going to take a collateral. The witnesses only saw him go into the house, and as Tosas explained, they see him coming out of the house with something sticking out. They're not really sure. They see part of it, they don't see part of it. And in that case, he clearly took something. And if he's the type of person who normally would have a silver goblet, the homeowner could swear that he took a silver goblet and then collected it back. That's the case. And that's the circumstance. It's not just simply he went in and took something and makes claim. Witnesses saw him go in. We know he's owed money. We saw him come out with something partially seen under his garment, partially seated. And then in that case, he could swear that it was taken from him and gets it back. Yeah. And that's pretty limiting, but often the Gemara does that. Okay. Nechbal ketzad. So we are about 2/3 down. The last word in the line is ketzad. There's 2 dots at the very end of the line. Nechbal ketzad is the last words on the line. Nechbal ketzad. We said the case, witnesses saw somebody go in Bari, he's healthy, unharmed, and then he comes out from the guy's Rashus, injured. And we say, how'd this happen? He says, he injured me. He says, no, I didn't. He swears, and he gets the payment for the injury. So we're going to qualify that. Well, how does this work? So Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, Lo shanu elu makom sheyachol lachbal ba'atzma. We're only talking a case where he could technically have gotten that injured himself. In that case, we're concerned, we're suspicious, maybe he did not get the injury through the guy he's claiming against. Then we make him swear before he gets payment. If it's in a place where he can't get, as we'll describe, where it's impossible for him to have gotten the injury on his own, it obviously was from the other guy. Shalom b'shua, no tel but shalom b'shua. He collects the injury, the nezek, tsar, ipo, sheves, boshes, whatever it is, whatever the case may be. Shalom b'shua, without an oath. The only time we make him take an oath before he collects, is if the circumstances is such that's possible he got the injury on his own. So the Gemara asks, hi Baruch. Let me send this back to you. There you go. So the Gemara asks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lines on the bottom. First one line is V'nechush. V'nechush. I'm going to get schar for coming in the cold and rain. Baruch Hashem. Good. Good. Yeah. V'nechush. Dilma bekosa nechtach. Maybe how do we know? Maybe he got the injury from the wall, injured against the wall or something of that nature. How do we know it's through this guy? Tani Rabbi Chia learned in the Brisa, Sha'olsa lo Neshicha begavo, he got a bite on his back, ubein atzila yada, between his arms, like in between, like in the middle. It's not really, you can't really get to it yourself. So obviously, we see, based on the injury, it must have been something that obviously was done by somebody else. If it was obviously done by somebody else, then he wouldn't have to swear. That's the case. But if it's a case where it's not so obvious, he could have been done somebody else, then that's where we do make him swear. So if Dilma Acher Avidlay, maybe there's a third party there. How do we know it's this? How can you point your finger at this particular guy? Obviously, it wasn't him. That's not true. There is. How do you know it's not a third party? My answer is Daleket Acher. There's only him, Reuven and Shimon. Reuven comes out injured, and it's possible that he inflicted himself, but we don't know. He takes the oath that the other guy did it, and he gets paid. A lot of questions. Not exact comparison to the other case, but the circumstance seemed to be leaning by the case of the guy who comes out with his witnesses. The whole thing is that witnesses saw him go in unharmed. But the first case, witnesses saw him go into the property. It seems that there's some sort of discussion about this from the previous stop. There's a lot of hot air. I'm gonna get you, or I'm gonna hit you, or I'm gonna take your item. I would say we don't necessarily trust that, but there is suspicion. There's witnesses saw him go in, and there's a collateral here. Perhaps it seems that's where we're going, is that they had words or some sort of argument, and we see him come out. There's a lot of reason to say so, but another case, Tosa says that they saw something under his garment. Seems a little bit more likely, but that's what they say. A little bit more clarity, perhaps. Okay.
We've done it. We've got one witness, we've got two witnesses to one going in or coming out.
Yeah.
Then clearly in the tasting that you could do a person.
Right.
They just ride on the fact that the person can take the oath.
Right. Right. The oath
was really telling the truth.
Yeah, that pushes the proof over the edge, so to speak. Yeah.
There's something a little odd in all of these cases that the person is, and generally speaking, basically is discouraging taking shul.
Right.
It goes through all of the CEOs,
Right.
verification, taking shul, workshop. Okay, so and all of a sudden here. We're doing something, making the guy do something based on circumstantial evidence.
You're asking a good question, yeah.
So I'm just, how do we
Rectify the two.
No.
You're saying something very good. On one hand, we use a shua as an act of discouraging him from swearing. And we also use a shua as a means of that we want to get at the truth. So we give him a shua to assure that he's saying the truth. It's like a double-edged sword. On one hand, we put it so, make it so strong beforehand, and no one would want to do it as a deterrent from swearing. But then sometimes use the shua as a deterrent from falsehood, like to assure the people telling the truth. It's kind of a two-way thing. But before we make him take the shua, we also scare the living daylights out of this fellow. You want to get at the truth, but before you do, because it's monetary claims. It's not so Hashem will settle the score. if you don't have to take an oath necessarily. Yeah.
It's okay. Hold on a second. Now, we have in prior cases we have claimants coming in, one saying one thing, one saying the other, and we can have svaras as to who may be telling the truth more or less. Here, there's an additional amount of raya, which is circumstantial evidence. We have claimants, each one claiming one against the other.
Yes.
And we actually, but there's a second piece of information, which is unlike the previous cases we had, that can give us some idea to the community. Almost like you were saying, the Shavua puts them over the edge.
Yeah.
It'll give us the
Gotcha.
confidence we have the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we want to swear to assure, prove it. Yeah, it's a deterrent, but in this case, it's to assure that this is the correct. It's one more raya. It's one more way to know, to assure that it is such. This is such. This week we're not sure, we're not 100% sure. So you swear and then you take. It's like it could work the other way. Sure, it's raya to not pay. Most. Like if sure with I say, you take a swear to not pay. Moed Miktos. He says, you owe me 100, I only owe you 50. What do you do about the other 50? Your word against his. He's claiming, so you swear, and then you'll get up, you're off the hook. Just nudging one more over, on the edge, just push it over. Okay, so now we can move into the next thing in the Mishnah, slightly different. Talking about the nechshad sheknegdo chashad al shvua. A person who is, let's say, someone wants Mr. X to swear. He needs to swear, and the other person is to swear to you, and he's chashad al shvua. He is suspect and can't swear, so we have it put it on to the other guy, but. Let's read inside for it. When is a person chashad al shvua that we have to have the other person swear? Normally he says, where's my 100? You owe me 100 and only 50, so swear. But he can't swear, he has a track record. So we discuss all the cases that give him a track record. He's chashad al shvua that he can't swear. So we have to put the oath on the other fellow. So what do we say? Afilu shvua shav. What do we say? Let's read inside. Different types of if you swear falsely, Shavuos Eidos. Swears he doesn't have testimony, then it turns out he does. Shavuos Bikaron. He swears he's not holding on to your item for you. What do you know? There it is. But those you swore falsely, you're knocked out as a kosher witness. And a Shavuos Shav. Afilu Shavuos Shav. Even a Shavuos Shav. What does it mean even? Just say the Shavuos Shav and the Shavuos Shav. What makes it? My afilu Shavuos Shav. What does it mean afilu? Even a Shavuos Shav. The Gemara says lomi boy kamar. So not only that, hanach the isbahu kfiras mamon. Not only those, the Shavuos habikadot, the Shavuos eidos, where there is where in those cases he's potentially costing a loss of money. Shavuos eidos says, come and testify on my behalf that Reuven owes me 200 shekel. And they take an oath, they don't have testimony for you. In fact, you do. You're causing the person to lose money. And as Rashi says here and there, you are ra lehashem lebrios. You are ra leshamayim ra lebrios. You are not only you're swearing falsely, but you're even causing people, you're causing people monetary harm. And so too by Shavuos Bikaron. The guy wants his thing that he gave to someone else, hold on back. You tell me, you go testify for me. Come testify for me that Shimon is holding on to my silver cup, something like that. And they say, we don't know. In fact, they did. I'm sorry, Shavuos Bikaron. Swear to me that he swears he's not holding on to the person's item. That's a different case. Not holding on to the person's item. In fact, he is. He's causing the person a loss of money.
Shlomo, sorry, I've got to go. Have a good Shabbos. I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Alan.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So in that case, it's costing a loss of money. But a Shavuos shav is just, he swears that he's not going to do a mitzvah. He swears that he's not going to, that the rock is gold, something like that. It's just no one's harmed in the process. He's just swearing false and bad enough. But you would think that that wouldn't be as much of a bad thing to make you completely knocked out as a witness. Kamash Malan, it does. So lomi boy hanach this be kfiras mamon. These oaths, person is shvuas eidos or shvuas hapikadon falsely, where there's kfiras mamon. Elafilo hanami. Even these two, the kfiras dvarim ba'almahu. Even just a denial with words. There's no denial of money, which is not a havale ra l'shamayim v'ra l'brias. That's what the first one is, but this is not a ra l'brias. So you might think that isn't so bad, it knocks you out as a kosher witness, but it does. He's not believed as a witness and he can't come testify. So the other party, the loaner, for example, would have to testify. Okay, so the Gemara asked the question. So we had a whole list of different types of shvuas that if you swear falsely, you're knocked out as a kosher witness. The listening nami shvuas bitoy. What about a shvuas bitoy? I will eat, I won't eat. I did eat, I didn't eat. Something like that. Why aren't those false oaths that if you swear falsely that make you in a chashad al shua and you can't take an oath? Our answer is kikatani. When do we learn? What are the places that we listed that we learned? Shua dechi kamishtaba b'shachar kamishtaba. When he's certainly swearing falsely. Aval shuas bitoy, but by a shuas bitoy, dikla meira b'kushta kamishtaba. It's possible he's swearing truthfully, as Rashi says, shebedaita l'kaima, that he swears, I will eat. I will eat this Suda today or something like that. I will eat this today. I won't, and it's possible, or I won't eat today. It's possible he's in good faith. That's not necessarily lying. Lokatani, that we didn't learn. We only learn cases where it's certainly he's lying, not the case where he's not necessarily going to lie in that case. He took that oath in good faith when he took it, not necessarily a false oath. So we're going to ask what you're probably thinking. Tenach, ochel v'lo ochel. That makes sense if his oath was I will eat or I won't eat. So when he took that oath and it turned out to be false, it could be that he took that in good faith with all good intention to fulfill it. And that's not necessarily, he could have taken it not only knowingly falsely, but it could be they took it in all good faith to fulfill it. But achalti v'lo achalti, he took an oath that he did eat or didn't eat, but then the very moment he said it, he's lying if it's false. Assume it wasn't accidental, assume it was purpose. Why is that not included? It should include as oaths that make you into a choshed al shua, disqualify you from taking oaths. If you had previously in the past taken a shua as bitoy about the past intentionally, he swore that he did not eat yesterday, knowingly that he ate, that should be in the list. That should knock you out as witness. So my iklamim, let me say. So the Gemara says Tana shua shav b'chol damile. The next page, called the damile. When it says shua shav, it is including those types of shuas bitoy about the past. Shua shav is like a shuas about the past because when it's something that was freestanding. The freestanding, you have to keep a mitzvah. Freestanding that this rock is not gold. So it's about the past, essentially. So it's the same group. It's also included. So when we say we included shua shav that knocks you out for swearing falsely as a witness, you can't then swear. So too, shuas bitoys about the past are also included. If you swore intentionally, falsely, that you did eat or didn't eat or did do something or didn't do something, that would also knock you out as a witness. Okay. Okay, good. So we'll hold it here. I will pick up from Zayin Amid Aleph